Welcome to the first episode of the Actualize podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Flanagan, co-founder and CEO of Actua, a leading Canadian STEM outreach organization. For this inaugural episode, I had the pleasure of talking to two women who inspire me deeply. Keely is a Paralympian medalist and scientist who embodies so much of what we stand for at Actua, including the belief that everyone has the potential to excel in STEM. Vanessa Vakharia, also known as the Math Guru, is a longtime friend of Actua. She's on a mission to make math accessible to everyone and to challenge the idea that you have to be a math person to succeed. We met in March during Women's History Month to talk about Actua's Invest in Girlhood campaign. This episode dives into why investing in girls matters, how we can break down stereotypes in STEM, and what real investment in girlhood can look like. From reflections on our own childhoods to what girls experience every single day to whether or not we could land a plane if we had to. This is a conversation you won't want to miss. So I am so happy that we finally coordinated our schedules, Keely and Vanessa. I actually saw one of you on TV this morning as I was getting ready. And no, it could have been either, but it was Vanessa talking about math over the March break.
Wow, that's so nice that you actually tuned into that.
I'm so happy that we had the chance to finally get together to have a conversation during Women's Month, March, on the end cusp of International Women's Day. You might have heard that Actua has launched a campaign called Invest in Girlhood. I am loving it. I am really grateful that you both agreed to spend a bit of time today talking about that concept. I hope you like it because we're going to talk about it. And we're hoping you like it. But really always grateful to have time to speak to two incredible women in STEM. Vanessa Vakharia, the math guru, runs a business, is a media personality, in a rock band, conquering the world one incredible speech at a time. And you, Keely Shaw, amazing. The Paralympics, how holy smokes. Like, I want to scream from the rooftops, like, why is not everyone watching this? It is absolutely incredible. What is happening
Canada
with our
is doing so well. We got our first gold medal yesterday.
Yeah, I saw. It's amazing. So you, a Paralympic medalist and an incredible scientist. So, okay, let's talk about girlhood. So when we're talking about investments in girlhood, what do we mean? So the first thing that I think about is not the girls. I think first about removing the barriers. So what barriers still exist? What are the things that systemically are just continuing to put girls off track from everything, but also from STEM? Then I think about how we're going to support the people around them, their parents, their educators, their coaches, their tutors, people that care about them. And then I think about them and what we're, the kind of experiences that we want for them to have so that they, are able to take the risks that we know are required to be successful in STEM, to learn from failure, to, do whatever the heck they want to do and bring all of their amazing ideas to life. So what we want to sort of highlight is that becoming a leader or sort of executing on their dreams, doing whatever creative pursuit they want to do, having the skills to do that, having the confidence to do that does not start once they exit university. Once they get into a boardroom, they do not become a CEO in a boardroom. They become a CEO in grade 4, in grade 3, in grade 5. And all along the way where they're getting experiences that bolster them and that show them that what they bring to the table is unique and valuable. So as two women who have been through an incredible journey, each of you have the coolest paths, the coolest stories, a ton of challenge, a ton of rising above those challenges and making that part of your success, making that part of why you are both so impactful. So let's talk about some of those stories. I would love to know from each of you what fueled you in girlhood? You
Yeah,
can
I'll
also
jump
just
in.
react to my whole intro. Jump in. Just tell me what you think.
Well,
Keely, I
You
would
guys
love to
all
hear
had
from you.
Diet Cokes.
Oh my God, if that caffeine would actually murder me. Keely, please share with us.
Yeah, when I was looking through this and I was kind of thinking about this, I feel like my experience in girlhood was very different because I never thought of it as an experience in girlhood per se. But as as strange it is, I feel like my experience as a girl growing up was structured and it was formed so much by my older brothers. I have two older brothers who are 4 and 5 years older than me. We live on a farm. I was never raised as the girl. I was raised as a sibling. I was out there cleaning the chicken coop just like my brothers were. My brothers were doing laundry. There were not, these are Keely's jobs and these are the boys' jobs. I was a sibling. I was not the girl. And so much of, I think, what drove me both in my academic pursuits as well as my athletic pursuits is honestly trying to keep up with my brothers. Because my brothers were incredible in that I was allowed to hang out with them and their friends as long as I could keep up. They weren't going to slow down. And if I was there, I was there. And they never, I mean, they probably did, but the memories I have are not of them shooing me away, of telling me to get lost. It was me running my little legs that are much, much smaller than theirs, trying to keep up with them and their friends. And it was always my brothers when I was little. This is going to sound hyperbolic. We're almost like these deities. I had them up on this pedestal because they were my big brothers. And I was always trying to keep up with them. And again, being 4 and 5 years older than me, that was a lot. That was a big goal, but it really did push me and it allowed me to push myself to see something to strive towards, whether that was my oldest brother Aaron racing motocross and I want to do that. That looks so fun. It was my other brother Dallas playing hockey and I want to have a slap shot like Dallas. And it was my mom saying, "You want to play hockey? Great. Let's go play hockey."
My little brother, I had two little brothers. It's such an interesting, I find, and Vanessa, you can like round us off with how this affects everything because I feel like it has to be star aligned. But like I used to call them employee number one and employee number two, like my little brothers. I
Were you
know.
sister
And I
superior?
would, pardon?
Were you sister superior?
I was like just the boss of the office. It was an office.
Wow, this is so shocking to us and everyone listening, for sure.
I know, but I didn't envision that's the crazy part is that you do those things and you do those like kind of role playing things where people encourage, I mean, by encourage, it was like, I wanted one of those like printable calculators, that was on my Christmas list. I loved like staplers and office supplies and things like that. But like the people around you sort of like play those roles, and people encourage, but it's so interesting for you that you were not sort of aware of the whole girl concept, that you were different you were different, but it was like just keep up to participate kind of thing, but physically, because you were 4 or 5 years younger. I mean, obviously. Vanessa, what do you think?
I think it's really interesting what Keely just said there of that like awareness piece. And because I'm like racking my memory being like, oh, like, is that true for me? Was I not like aware that there was a difference? And honestly, I think she articulated it really, really well. And I think it's kind of a hard thing to put a finger on because on the one hand, like not to future forward into like present day, it's like we don't want to have no awareness. Like we want to know that there is a discrepancy and that we have to change environments and create space for women. But if we're doing it right, the girls that we are making space for should have no idea that we are intentionally doing it. They should feel like that space just exists. And Keely, that's almost like what I hear in your story. It's like, I just didn't know. And that's the real gift. And honestly, like, I kind of think it was the same for me. Like when I think about like my childhood and into adolescence, and like the main word that comes to mind is like adventure and opportunity. Like, I just feel like I was always doing like something crazy. And like, I was not personally aware. It's funny, like looking back, I'm like, oh my God, now I can see the barriers that were there due to like race and gender. But at the time, I was unaware of them. And I think it was really like, I think I was very fortunate to be around a lot of people and be put in a lot of situations where I had opportunities where the people in charge were happy to to not see me any differently than anyone else. And as a result, I did so much crazy shit. Like I had the craziest jobs. Like I was constantly like auditioning for weird things like Much Music and like reality. Like we didn't even have, I actually auditioned for Canadian Idol back in the day. Like I would just do all this crazy stuff, but I would like do all this stuff because so often, I mean, a lot of the time I'd be rejected, but a lot of the time I would get the opportunity. I would just say opportunity and adventure and the feeling at the time, at least, that my gender was not a barrier or like even a thing.
I think that's a really good point, Vanessa. And I think it goes back to what Jen was saying about when we think about investing in girlhood, the girls in the classroom ideally are going to be the beneficiary, and they are not the first line of contact. It is the
Yes.
teachers, the coaches, the families, what have you. Because as much as I was never seen as the girl growing up. As I went through my adolescence, I was because I was the girl that played boys hockey. And I
Mm,
remember trying out for a team and my mom flat out telling me, like, these are the people who are picking the team, and I need you to be ready to not make the team because you are a girl.
yeah.
And it
You're
was
right.
very much,
Yeah.
it was very, my mom made it very clear to me that, like, in all likelihood, you are not going to make this team and it has nothing to do with you. So it
Mm,
was, I found that, like, in girlhood, as we think about it in, that pre-adolescence, it was very much not on my mind, particularly, at least in my family unit, as I went into adolescence. And because it was so obvious, again, I was the girl that played boys hockey. I would literally have people stop me in the rink being like, "Are you Keely?" Because I was the girl going to the boys
yeah.
hockey, which um I know in a lot of my friends, as soon as body contact started, their parents said no, and my parents said, "Do you want to play girls or do you want to stay in the contact with boys?" It was always a choice for me. What did I want to do? And my parents were going to give me every opportunity to do it.
Mhm. And I think the common out, like, what's so interesting in the stories that you both shared are like trying it, like the concept of like just try it, like just show up and try it. And I'm interested to know, Vanessa, who put those opportunities, like, did you research those opportunities? Did someone put them in front of you? Did your parents drive you to them? Like, I would say I was a much less adventurous kid. Like, I kind of towed the line of what I was supposed to do. Um, so it's so interesting for me to hear you talk about these experiences. The first one is like trying it out. And the second one, for to the point you just made, Keely, is that someone took the time to say to you, this might not work out and it's not you.
Yeah.
So they like externalized the experience for you instead of what I think is happening in girlhood, which is we are internalizing all of the bullshit in the system into being an us issue when it's a
Yep.
system issue. And that is the number one thing I think that we want to make sure is like, hey, you might encounter someone that discourages you. It's not you, right?
Yeah.
And just like making sure that is there in the back of their mind. So I think that's so powerful, like preparing. This might not work out and there's a plan B and we'll figure it out. But I love it. You're trying. What I see is a lot of girls who don't try because they're so afraid of the immediacy of the feedback being negative, of someone judging them, of them. Like, there is genuinely a what if I look stupid? What if I don't look whatever? That seems to be happening.
Jen, I think you just read my mind there because what immediately came to mind as you were talking is the women who are celebrated are those who are excelling. I was celebrated as the girl who played boys hockey because I was good. So I was okay taking risks because I knew I had this thing to fall back on. And we need to make a world where girls don't feel like they need to be the best at everything they do right away. We need to get used
Mm,
to doing things, to being bad at things. I've got an 11-year-old mentee through the Girls Forward Foundation. And what I constantly hear is, I don't like doing that because I'm not good at it.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And how, like,
yeah.
there's going to be, I love doing things I'm bad at because, as I told her, I can just be silly and I can try new things. And the opportunity for growth when you start out bad is incredible. And then that's just building of, wow, I did this so much better than last week. I wonder what we can do next time. So being able to step into the arena without fear of rejection, without fear of humiliation, and just being able to try something.
This is, I'm like, I feel like you guys know what I'm going to say, but I mean, it's interesting that we're talking about.
I honestly have zero idea what you're about
Really?
to say.
I'm like, we learn this from school. We learn in school that we're not supposed to be bad at things.
Right.
And that's where, but I will say this, because as you're talking, both of you, I'm like, okay, fair. But I will say that if you ask any like teacher right now, for example, whether this is like a thing for, you know, all students, they will say yes. So I will say that, like, number one, over time, you know, definitely historically, no one has ever liked being bad at something. Fine. But that being said, the idea of not trying because you think you're going to be bad at something, or you think you might be embarrassed or ashamed, or it might reveal some latent quality or whatever, has definitely gotten a lot more severe now in present day due to the instantaneous nature of our technology. Like, so that's number one. But that being said, it is always more pronounced in girls. And it is always more pronounced in girls because girls have something they have to prove. And that's because we go into it assuming, guys, oh my God, has anyone seen the videos going around of like an interviewer asks men, Keely, you're going to die if you have, I hope you haven't seen this. I feel like you might break your screen right now. Anyways, this interview is asking random guys on the street, do you think if you played any women's sport, you would be better than all the women on the team? And all of them are like, oh yeah, well, yeah, for sure. And the interviewer is like, so you think you could go into a professional women's soccer team, these women are professional, and you would be better? And they're like, well, yeah, because like guys are just better. I know, Keely, I'm so sorry. I'm going to send it to you. It is infuriating. And it doesn't end at sports. You ask men, do you think you could like go do this job better than a woman? And most of them are like, well, yeah, like, duh. So there is already this notion that boys will be smarter. There is so much research to back this up. This is not just anecdotal, okay? So this is assumed by so many people, and girls know that. And there is something called stereotype threat, which means that we are scared of reaffirming a stereotype about our own group. So girls, knowing internally that they are supposed to be less smart than boys, when they are given any sort of test of intelligence, subconsciously what happens is they're like, I don't want to make all girls look bad. That's what's going to happen. If I fail at this, it's going to reaffirm this thing about my entire gender. So there's so much here about this idea of like, Keely, you're so right. We need to get used to being bad at things. We need to be like, well, who cares if we're bad at this thing? Like, I'll just try it, and who cares? I'll just try again, or I'll do something else. But there is this internalized sense of we need to be perfect. Otherwise, we're gonna reaffirm the stereotype about our entire gender, and we need to prove this thing because we're already starting out the underdog just because of our gender.
And so, how do you take that? Because we have long known that boys, young men will overestimate their skill level. They will overestimate their confidence. Well, their confidence level is not overestimated. It is how confident they feel, right? Like, I use this example all the time, Vanessa, where like even in my own house that is filled with like any men that come in are like very feminist leaning men, still think that they could land a plane. Like with no prior, right? Like that whole study about how, you know, if you ask men if they could, if they were in a plane in a situation where they had to land a Boeing 747, could they land it? And the vast majority of men say yes, they could. Right?
What about women? Like, I think I could do it if I had to. Well, I think if I
okay, well, you're not okay. You have a high level of confidence. Okay.
Keely, I feel Keely might think she could too. Do you?
100%. No, I could not.
I was sitting there and I was like, do I think I could? And I think like,
but I'd ask people.
I don't know what the buttons are. I wouldn't know what buttons bring the wheels.
No, I wouldn't. But hold on. What do we have? I'd be like, what tools do we have? Yeah, I wouldn't be like, oh, I can't land it on my own. But I'd be like, who's sitting behind me on the plane? I'd go back there. I'd see what skill set I had. And like, I would ask people for help. Like, am I able to radio someone in? Like, I'm not saying by myself in the cockpit with no one else. But I'm like, a resource. Can I use my phone? Can I ask chat? Can I be a part? Can I ask chat GPT? Do I have access to AI?
Okay. So the vast
Sorry.
majority of men just say, yes, I could.
Okay.
We do all the work, which it's good. But the point being that I do agree with you that we are hearing the same thing from educators and from parents. Boys are also struggling with this, right? They don't want to look dumb. They don't want to be made fun of with their peers. They might not be trying things. The difference is that they can fail at things and still pursue. They don't in their head automatically think that they're bad at STEM or bad at math or not cut out for this pathway. They couldn't even take the course. They might not even take the courses and think that they could apply into engineering and be be okay with it. So it's
Yeah.
a like, how does that experience impact their future behavior? And that's why we're so focused right now on this concept of investing in girlhood, because we know we need to break that pattern or create those supports, whether it's through educators or parents or the system writ large, to say, it's okay that you might have had a bad teacher. That doesn't mean you're you bad biology teacher. You didn't like it, got a bad mark. That doesn't mean that you wouldn't be good in biology, right? It's breaking those sort of habits. And it all comes back from the work we're doing to like what we call STEM identity, right? Who people think can do STEM, who people think are good at it. So if women, like those boys on your hockey team, I'd be super curious to know, if we could have gone back and interviewed them at the time, like, do they think you were probably far superior? What did they think?
Well, and it's funny because the boys that
How
I
did that?
played with on my team, pretty much every one of them was like, oh no, Keely could kick my ass. I used to have a coach that would
Oh.
pinpoint the biggest person on the other team and say, if you take them down, I will give you a chocolate bar. But it was the boys on the other team that like didn't know me, that it was just like, oh, like she's fine, she's a pushover. But it was the boys that I played with that were very much like, oh no, she's good. And then it got to the point because for a while, like there was a couple
I'd
years
love to know how that impacted them. I would love to know if the
Same. That's what
experience of
I
playing
want to
with
know.
you.
Well, and I want to know, I'm like, did it change things when those boys they had to give you credibility, which is what pisses me off. Like, they went in not believing it, and then they needed another guy, which is why we need allyship to all the men listening here, right? Like, Keely's existence was not enough. They needed a guy to be like, no, she's actually good.
It's a really good point because there was a couple years where, because as a girl, I hit my growth spurt, so I was bigger than the boys. And then I came back another year and I was very much not bigger than the boys because they grew to be larger than me, which is fine. And I was still really good. But because I was small, it was like there was two, depending on the team, because we knew there were some boys that were just jerks and they were going to go for me and they were going to be violent. So depending on the team, the coach would assign two people of like, when there's a scrum, we all know Keely's going to be in the scrum because that's where she is. And you are there to put anybody in their place that steps out of line. And like you said, we should not have to have those. In my case, it was essentially a bodyguard. That should not be necessary because I am a girl. There were just as many other boys on my team that were just as scrappy, that might be throwing their mouths a little bit, that people did not pinpoint because they were different. But because I had a ponytail sticking out the back of my helmet, I had a target on my back from the moment I took the ice.
How do you think that the concept of sort of identity in STEM, or who can do STEM, or who's good at it, how that is currently melding with this other pressure that many girls have, which is conforming to what girls should be like and who girls are and what they need to, under society's sort of parameters, what it means to be a girl and what it means to be someone in STEM. Do you think that we've made progress in kind of joining those two identities? Do you think girls are still like firmly in one camp or the other and see them as very separate? You're mentoring, you're working with younger girls through your companies. What do you see?
I kind of want to bounce this back to you to start with, like as having younger girls in your house.
I mean, it's not so. It's a big question. I think. I mean, there's no doubt, and anyone I think that has raised girls will say this, that works in this sphere or works in the space of empowering and breaking barriers to women, is that regardless of the amount of influence or the amount of messaging they're hearing from me about what they can do and you know what all of this, the context means for them, they still fall prey to all of the societal barriers, right? And they need, I'm constantly like, okay, hold on, let's correct that. What I see that's really interesting is in the coaching that I do with girls hockey, the difference between girls at 11 and 12 and how willing they are to go out on the ice and give it their all. And, just the engagement that I see in them is very different than 13, 14, 15, 14, 15 especially. There seems to be there's a tension there. And it just is, it's very different at that age in terms of them, I think, just trying to figure out like my hockey, like I think they feel like they have to choose their identity, right? They can't be like a girly girl, a hockey player, good at school. This, like, it feels like they're detaching from some of the stuff because they don't see that they can have multiple things that they're trying or being good at, or, you don't have to be the best at this. You can still do it because it's enjoyable. So, I see all of that. There's so many tensions. There's so much. I think it's a really hard time to be a kid. I think it's a really hard time to be a girl.
It's funny because historically, this has always been one of the biggest issues, right? Like you just look at any like teen movie from 10 years ago even, or you know what I mean? Anything, you always see the same thing, right? You see like the cheerleader character that's bad at school because that's what feminine girls are. They're not good at school. And then you see the character that's good at school and they're smart and normally they're good at math and they help the cheerleader do their homework and they get a makeover, right? Like we see these things in media. And I would say, just because this is actually my area of research, I wrote my whole master's thesis on this, there is a difference. Like I'm not going to say we haven't made any progress, but the progress is so disappointingly minimal. And the truth is, there's something to be said about, Jen, you just said, they're not just listening to what I'm saying in the home. There's a really important relationship between belief and behavior. We cannot just imbue kids with beliefs. You can do this. It's normal for girls to do this. It doesn't take away from your femininity. You can do both, whatever those beliefs are. The beliefs, poof, disappear unless they are reinforced by behavior. And that means that, let's say a girl makes that choice to do both or to, I don't know, like Keely, right? Like be like, I'm going to go play hockey with the boys. If Keely goes and does that and then gets treated differently or gets made fun of or gets told it's weird that she's there, that behavior speaks louder than all of the words that have told her that she belongs there. And that's what happens with STEM is we have all these words and we have all these campaigns and we have all these beliefs, but then we go into the environment and the environment often does not support those beliefs. It often makes kids and girls feel like they've been gaslit. Right? Because all these things we're saying aren't really true necessarily in most spaces, right? They still have to fight. They still feel this rampant sexism. They still feel like the other. And so I think that's where we are. It's like I actually think we've really changed in terms of there's so much positive messaging. There is. Like we're doing so much more stuff than we were 10 years ago. But like you started this interview with, it's not the girls that are the problem. It is the spaces. It is the environment. It's the system. It's everything else that needs to change to support these beliefs that they're really trying to develop about themselves.
So what kind of investments do we need to make that are different? Like what are the other things that we can do now? As you said, it's not a public, girls can do STEM. Like, okay, that's great until you land, you're the only girl in your physics class and it's super intimidating and the content
and then it sucks. And you're like, totally, this actually sucks. Like this doesn't feel like.
Yeah, exactly.
I think part of it, and I come at this from a very niche perspective in my research of exercise physiology, but exercise physiology is a very male dominated field. So generally speaking, if you're in exercise science and females go to sports psychology, sports sociology, which is totally fine. But it does still start to reinforce those, well, boys are analytic and girls are feeling. which is not the case. So when I'm teaching exercise physiology, I do my very best to meet my students where they are, to take what they're already interested in and then apply what I'm talking about to that. So I make a dedicated effort I have a dancer in my class. We're going to talk about how these forces impact ballet. I have people who are into yoga. We're going to talk about the energy demands of yoga.
I think what's interesting is just any time coaches and teachers and people that are mentoring kids, and by mentoring, I mean just any word or action, anytime those identities can be like linked together or validated, I think it really goes a long way, right? Like, this is such a quick anecdote, but I was thinking about it over the weekend, and it was during a hockey game, and one of the players, like on the bench, somehow had brought, I don't even know where it came from, but had her like lip gloss in, like attached to her water bottle. And during the game, like, you know, she has a cage on, obviously, you know what a cage is. And she's like putting the lip gloss through the cage to like reapply. And one of the like coaches was like, yo, no, like, come on, like not necessary. Yeah, granted, probably not necessary, but who can, like, not hurting anyone.
Does
Lips
it
looked
impact your ability to
amazing.
play the game?
It was even my first thought, though. My first thought was like, oh, like, okay. But then it's just those moments, right? Where you're like,
Yeah.
okay, just get it and let's go, you know? And I think it's just we're all conditioned to kind of like, right now we're doing this, so this is what this is, and this is what this looks like. And it's just recognizing, like, you bring your whole self. And that's such a subtle way. Your whole self currently is really obsessed with the lip gloss. So let's go. Bring it.
Well, and I
Bring it.
think if we have girls who are confident enough to bring their full selves, do it, and do it with reckless abandon. Because if we see girls who are they align more with that girly girl, if you will. They like painting their nails. They like putting on lip gloss. And they see that and they're like, oh, hockey players wear lip gloss too. It goes back to the whole, if we can see it, we can be it mentality, right? And it can't just be from our family. It can't just be from our parents. It's got to be the people that we look up to. Kind of a fun little anecdote. When I defended my PhD, my brother and sister-in-law brought their kids, who at the time were like 4, 2, and 1. They have a very busy household. And the oldest at one point said, you know how we went and saw Auntie Keely be a doctor? I think I want to be a vet. So it's showing, like, at that age, it's going to be people who are in their immediate circle. But then going out, and again, we see the hockey player putting the lip gloss on. We might see Iona Mayer, the rugby player, always in lipstick. It's knowing that we can be both.
Yeah, there's in marketing, there's like this 7 touch point theory where it's like, normally for a consumer to finally buy something, they have to see it 7 times. Like, it's at the grocery store cash register, it gets advertised to you on Instagram, you see someone using it at the coffee shop, and by the 7th time is when you want the thing. And that's exactly how this is, right? It's like that message, you have to see it consistently in different environments. It can't just be like the poster you see in your classroom every day.
Well,
It's
this
amazing.
is where
I
I
love
think
that.
what Vanessa's doing is so important, because not only are you this math teacher extraordinaire breaking down boundaries, you're also a badass rock star. And now it's like, oh, wait, I can be good at math and a rock star? I can be like crushing the quadratic theorem on Monday and crowd surfing on Tuesday. Like, it's showcasing these dualities, right?
That was the alliteration you just threw in there on the fly was actually
Totally
very impressive.
Unintentional, I will say.
She's been waiting the whole time.
She's like, I
Been
have
sitting
it.
on that for a week.
We could talk forever because you're both so incredible to talk to. Thank you for sharing your experiences, your thoughts on this topic. We're going to talk about this a million more times, and I hope we can do it together again soon. So thank you. Thank you both.
No, Jen, thank you. And thanks for all the work that you guys do at Actua, because so much of what you do is around that. If you can see it, you can be it. Showing people like Vanessa, showing people like yourself, telling these stories, and working from the top down with the educators that are working with Actua so that we can slowly but surely reshape the system.
I mean, I can't say it better than whatever Keely just did. So RT Keely.
Love it. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Actualize podcast, an official production of Actua. I hope this conversation inspires you to think differently about STEM, about girlhood, and the power of investing in potential. You can find more resources, including information about the Invest in Girlhood campaign at actua.ca. If you enjoyed today's episode, please follow us on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. I'm Jennifer Flanagan, and we'll see you for another inspiring conversation soon.